What if the villain we've all been watching is just a placeholder? What if the entire multiverse saga, the rise of Kang, the chaos of his variants, was all just one big distraction? We've been told to fear the man at the end of time, the Conqueror from the 31st century, but what if the real architect of our doom wasn't a Kang at all? What if he was a god king in waiting, forged in secret, a weapon designed to succeed where all Kangs were destined to fail? The theory we're breaking down today suggests that he who remains, in his infinite cyclical wisdom, didn't just prune timelines, he was cultivating one. He didn't just fear his variants, he planned for their failure, and in doing so, he set the stage for a villain far more terrifying, a man destined to burn the multiverse to the ground, only to rebuild it in his master's image. This is the story of how he who remains may have created his ultimate weapon, Dr. Doom. To really get this theory, we have to go back to the Citadel at the end of time and the man who built it, he who remains. He sold himself to Loki and Sylvie as his tired god, a being who saw the horrifying possibilities of a multiversal war and chose what he saw as the lesser of two evils. A single sacred timeline managed down to the last detail. His goal was simple: order, stability, and preventing chaos. He claimed his own variants. Other versions of Nathaniel Richards were the source of that chaos, conquerors and warlords who would tear reality apart. The TVA was basically a giant dam he built to hold back a flood of himself. But here's the huge glaring flaw in his plan. It was all based on the idea that he was the only solution. His final words to Sylvie, "See you soon," are usually interpreted as a warning that his death would unleash the other Kangs. But what if it meant something else? What if he knew, with his ability to see all of time, that his variants weren't just dangerous but completely incompetent? I mean, look at what we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, the Council of Kangs. They were presented as this terrifying legion of conquerors, but they came off as a squabbling, disorganized mob. Their supposed leader, Immortus, seemed more interested in drama than strategy. They exiled one of their own, the Conqueror, to the quantum realm, a place he nearly escaped from multiple times. They're a council of failures, a perfect example of the chaos he who remains hated. They're loud, arrogant, and honestly pretty ineffective. For a being who could see every single possibility across all of time, leaving his entire life's work vulnerable to the very mediocrity he was trying to eliminate just doesn't add up. It's illogical. Unless, of course, the TVA and the sacred timeline were never the final plan. Unless it was all just phase one. This is where the theory really gets interesting. He who remains, realizing the built-in weakness of his own bloodline, would need a contingency plan. Not just a backup, but a true successor. A weapon forged with the same desire for order, but with a discipline and ruthlessness his own variants just don't have. He needed someone who could not only conquer, but actually rule. He needed someone to clean up the mess of the Kangs and bring the multiverse to heel under a single iron fist. He didn't need another Kang, he needed a Doom. And that brings us to Victor Von Doom. To understand why he's the perfect tool for this grand design, you have to know the man from the comics. Victor isn't some mustache-twirling villain. He's one of the most brilliant and complex characters in all of Marvel. Born in Latveria to a Romani family, his life was shaped by tragedy. His mother, a sorceress, was taken from him. His father, a doctor, died a fugitive. An orphan, Victor discovered his mother's magical artifacts and dedicated his life to mastering both science and sorcery, convinced that with enough power, he could fix everything wrong with the world. His defining trait is his colossal ego, which is matched only by his genius. He looks at the chaos of the world, the petty fights between heroes, the incompetence of leaders, and believes with every fiber of his being that he is the only one who can impose true, lasting order. This is a guy who can build a time machine and challenge the most powerful magic users. This unique blend of tech and mysticism makes him incredibly formidable. Now connect that philosophy to He Who Remains. Both of them want absolute order. Both see the universe as a chaotic mess that needs a single, powerful ruler. But here's the key difference. The Kangs are driven by a conqueror's ego just to win. Doom is driven by a savior's complex. He genuinely believes that his rule is what's best for everyone, and that conviction makes him more focused, more dangerous, and ultimately more reliable than any Kang. The theory goes that he who remains, sifting through all of time, identified Victor Von Doom as the perfect candidate. He didn't just find him, he cultivated him. Imagine he who remains subtly pruning timelines, not just to get rid of rival Kangs, but to make sure the exact sequence of events happen to forge Victor into the perfect weapon. A little nudge here, a pruned reality there, all to guarantee the creation of a man with the intellect of Reed Richards, the magical power of Doctor Strange, and the unbreakable will to rule. The upcoming MCU slate seems to be pointing right at Doom's rise. We have Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars. In the comics, the Secret Wars storyline is Doom's masterpiece. It's where he becomes God Emperor Doom, a being who literally saves what's left of the multiverse by stitching together dead realities into a single planet, Battleworld, with him as its absolute ruler. It's the ultimate expression of his philosophy, total destruction in the name of total order. It's a plan that perfectly mirrors the goals of He Who Remains. So the aha moment of this theory is this: the death of He Who Remains wasn't a failure. It was a calculated sacrifice. It was the starting pistol for the real plan. He unleashed the Kangs knowing they'd cause chaos, but also knowing they were just cannon fodder. They are the problem for which Dr. Doom is the solution. He Who Remains didn't just see the future, he wrote it. And the star of his final act is Dr. Doom, a man who thinks he's fighting for his own destiny, but is actually just a pawn in a game that's been playing out for eons. The first act of this plan would kick off in Avengers Doomsday. The title alone promises apocalyptic stakes, but the Doomsday here isn't just for our heroes, it's for the Council of Kangs. This is where Doom would make his grand entrance, and it wouldn't be quiet. It would be a statement. Picture this: the Council of Kangs in their ridiculous arena, bickering and posturing just like they did at the end of Quantumania. They think they're the new masters of reality. They're arrogant, they're complacent, and they have no idea what's coming. And then he arrives. Not with an army, but as a single terrifying presence. Dr. Doom. This wouldn't even be a battle. It would be a slaughter. The theory suggests Doom will systematically dismantle the Council, proving in one swift, brutal campaign why he's superior to every version of Nathaniel Richards. He wouldn't just overpower them, he'd outthink them. One Kang has advanced tech, Doom counters with dark magic. Another Kang, like Immortus, uses strange energies. Doom counters with science that nullifies it. He's a master of both arts, while each of them is a master of only one. The comics have already shown us this. In the original Secret Wars, Doom deals with Kang easily, dismissing him as an inferior. The MCU could do this on a massive scale. One by one, Immortus, Ramatut, the Scarlet Centurion, they'd all fall. This move does two things. First, it establishes Doom as a threat far beyond anything the MCU heroes have ever faced. It brutally answers the Kang question by erasing it. Second, for the plan of He Who Remains, it's the perfect cleanup. Doom is clearing the board, getting rid of all the chaotic variables. And with each victory, Doom would grow stronger. In the comics, he's famous for stealing the power of his enemies. It's easy to imagine him absorbing the tech, knowledge, and temporal energy of each Kang he defeats. He'd become a living library of their collective power, but all of it guided by his singular, unshakable will. This rampage would be the foundation of his empire. He'd prove that the era of Kang is over. Chaos has been replaced by a cold, calculated, and much more terrifying order. The heroes might even for a second see him as a necessary evil, but they would quickly learn that the death of the Kangs wasn't an ending. It was just clearing the way for a much bigger, more dangerous game. The second act of Doom's conquest is where things get truly cosmic and tragic. It's his confrontation with Loki, the god of stories, who is now the living anchor of the multiverse. At the end of Loki Season 2, Loki sits on a throne at the center of reality, holding infinite timelines together with his own power. He is the guardian of free will and all possible futures. And in Dr. Doom's eyes, that makes him the single greatest source of power in all of existence. Why go after Loki? Because Loki controls the ultimate prize, the very loom on which reality is woven. For a man obsessed with imposing his own perfect order, there is no higher goal. Avengers, Doomsday could be all about Doom's quest to take that power for himself, seeing Loki as the final obstacle to his absolute rule. This would be a battle of philosophies. Loki, who sacrificed everything for free will and the beauty of infinite messy stories, and Doom, who believes free will is a disease and the only path to peace is a single perfectly written story, his story. But Doom wouldn't come at Loki head on. He's a master strategist. He'd study Loki, understand his power, and find his weakness. And he knows Loki's strength is also his greatest weakness, his heart. Loki holds the multiverse together out of love. Doom operates from pure cold logic. He might not be able to overpower a god, but he could outmaneuver him. With Loki dethroned and puppeteered, Doom could reshape the multiverse however he wants. The sprawling branches of the world tree would be his to prune, not to maintain order, but to craft a single reality in his own image. This is where he could start building Battleworld, collapsing imperfect universes and merging the survivors. This act would be the ultimate betrayal of Loki's sacrifice. The freedom he fought for would become the engine of its own destruction. He'd be forced to watch as his power is used to erase countless lives. All for Doom's twisted idea of order. This is the real Doomsday. Not an alien invasion, but the slow, methodical rewriting of reality by a man who has stolen the power of a god. And as Doom sits on his stolen throne, thinking he's finally won, he'd be completely unaware he just executed Act 2 of a play written by someone else. The final act would unfold in Avengers: Secret Wars. Dr. Doom is on top of the world. He's done what no other villain has. He defeated the Kangs, usurped the power of the god of stories, and forged the multiverse into his own kingdom, Battleworld. From his throne in Castle Doom, he rules as a god emperor. The remaining heroes are scattered and broken. He believes with every part of his soul that this is his victory. His will made him a god, and that's when He Who Remains comes back. It would be the ultimate twist of the entire multiverse saga. He Who Remains wouldn't return with an army. He'd just appear, maybe right in Castle Doom, with that same calm, knowing smile he had when he met Loki and Sylvie. His death was a gambit, a necessary sacrifice to set his real plan in motion. Remember when he told Sylvie, "If you think I'm evil, well, just wait till you meet my variants." It was a brilliant misdirection. The real threat wasn't the variants he warned her about. It was the weapon he was secretly building the whole time. He would lay it all out for a stunned and horrified Doom. How he saw the flaw in his own existence. How he searched the timelines for someone with the right mix of genius, ruthlessness, and an obsession with order. How he quietly guided Victor's life, fueling his ambition, ensuring his tragedies, putting the right knowledge in his path. The rise of Dr. Doom wasn't an accident. It was an engineered event. The destruction of the Council of Kangs, that was just tying up loose ends. Usurping Loki, that was getting the final tool for the job. The creation of Battleworld, that was Doom building the perfect contained kingdom his master always wanted. Every single victory Doom ever had was just another step in a plan laid out for him before he was even born. He was, and always has been, a puppet. For Doom, the horror would be absolute. His entire identity is built on his supreme will. Learning that his life's work was just him carrying out someone else's plan would be a fate worse than death. And then, He Who Remains would effortlessly strip him of his stolen power, reducing the God King to just a man again. A broken king in a kingdom that was never his. He Who Remains would take the throne. He would finally have what he always wanted. Not a sacred timeline held together by messy pruning, but a single consolidated reality. A battle world. A universe with no variants, no incursions, no chaos. A perfect prison, ruled by a single master. He won, not through conquest, but through terrifying patience and intellect. The final battle of Secret Wars wouldn't be against God Emperor Doom. It would be against the quiet, smiling man from the end of time. The heroes would have to fight not just to get their worlds back, but to restore the very idea of free will. And in a final, ironic twist, Dr. Doom might even be forced to ally with the heroes against his creator, his pride demanding that he be the master of his own fate. even if that fate is destruction. But what do you all think? Is this just a wild theory, or are we watching the slow execution of the most ambitious plan in MCU history? Could Doctor Doom really be the ultimate pawn in a cosmic game played by He Who Remains? Let me know your thoughts and your own theories down in the comments below. I read all of them, and that's where the best conversations happen. If you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a solid and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And for more theories and deep dives into your favorite universes, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the multiverse, there's always another story.